Welcome to the Master the NEC podcast, the ultimate destination for anyone passionate about the electrical trade. Whether you're a seasoned electrician, an eager apprentice, or just someone who wants to dive deep into the world of electrical work, you've come to the right place. Join your host, Paul Abernathy, a true authority in the industry with over 38 years of trade experience, as he electrifies your mind with in-depth discussions, expert tips, and valuable insights that will keep you ahead of the curve. Each episode, Paul will illuminate the complexities of the trade, decode the National Electrical Code, and share the latest industry trends, all while empowering you to take your electrical career to the next level. So, gear up, plug in, and get ready to supercharge your knowledge, because with the Master the NEC podcast, the power is in your hands. Now get ready. Here is your host, Paul Abernathy.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Master the NEC, the podcast where we talk about anything electrically related. It's all fair game here at the podcast. So again, it's been a little bit of a minute since we've done a podcast. So I just wanted to reconnect with everybody and let them know that everything's good. Just a lot going on here at the Academy. Trying to catch up, launching the new line of Stack Caddy products, trying to get those things out there. I'm sure you've probably seen them. We've got the Stack Caddy containers, which are modular container storage systems, great to put together on a project. We've got the panel caddies, we got the tool dock, and just recently we released the step caddy and the ladder deck, which is two new products that just tries to make life a little better as an electrician in the field. So that's all it's trying to do, is trying to make those things just a little bit better, a little easier, make your job a little easier, and that's what it is. I mean, obviously, that's the whole goal here with those type of products. We're not creating any products that actually go in a panel or go in a box. I have no desire to get that listing from a nerdle or go through that process. I'm not interested in that. So my products are the stuff that we create are going to be ancillary products to just try to make electricians' life a little easier. Of course, we have some fun stuff. We got the wire nut koozies and the little nutty buddies and the stuff like that. But and then we got the inspector caddy, which is a nice little system that holds like a flashlight, your 8-in-1 screwdriver, and a voltage non-contact ticker. I mean, those are just interesting products that are available over on stackcaddy.com. Check them out. May be for you, may not be for you. That's okay. But they're over there. Just some neat things to look at. Anyway, that's what we got going on. I've been trying to catch up with that, trying to get caught up on the 2026 program. It's still taking us some time to get that done. Illustrations are what hold us back. So the next month or so, I'm sure we'll have that out. But again, the good news is most states aren't on the 2026, so it'll be quite a while before folks really need to worry about that. I don't think for me, I worry too much of that until the first of the year, but we still got some time. There are some states that allow, like Texas will come on using the 2026 for exams, probably, September, that type of thing, so if you're in Texas or something like Massachusetts or whatnot, I would focus on trying to get your exam or get your license now under the 2023 NEC. That's how I would focus on it before it shifts to the 2026. But that's just my advice to you. So I get a lot of questions when people ask about exam prep, and they say, well, can I take a 2023 exam using a 2020? And absolutely you can. Just need to be aware there will be some differences, that some things that are different, code sections move around, some articles get, pop up and some disappear, and things get reorganized. And so it's going to happens every 3 years, every three years in a cycle. We're actively working on the 2029 edition of the NEC. And again, that's going to be another radical change for most people. Technically the same information. It's going to go through the same review, public input, public comment, all that kind of stuff. So it's just reorganizing. That's all it is. So, there's no real big technical changes that are going to take place, just how it's laid out. And so that's not a bad thing. It probably, after nearly 100 years, I guess, it needed a good retooling, if you will, to make it be a little more acceptable to the newer generation who were used to things like the IECs and the residential IRC and the commercial ones, those things. So, makes sense. Just kind of a refresh. Let's see what else we got going on in the news. Just kind of let you know. So over on TikTok, we've got a gentleman that has reared his head. He wants to challenge me. And apparently he's an engineer. His name Thomas, who's got a private account and very few followers. So nobody knows anything about the gentleman. So usually I take people like that with a grain of salt. They're like, whatever, because you get those people every now and then. The funny part is he replied to a video reply that I've replied to somebody talking about circuit breakers. And the topic was about circuit breakers, and a gentleman had made a comment that it says breakers don't actually trip due to amps. They trip due to temperature. Reason I'm mentioning this distinction is that it will depend on the temp of the panel, blah, blah, blah. So amps, when something's 20 amps, and we think about tripping an overcurrent protective device, we have to understand that the manufacturers test those devices at certain values, 100%, 135%, 200%. But 20 amps is 20 amps. Unless we're talking about a continuous load, I get 20 amps out of it. And I can get 20 amps out of it continuously forever, as long as none of the loads are continuous loads or at their maximum output. So a breaker that's pulling 20 amps, and I used an example. It got a lot of people wanted to make, snarky comments, but I get that all the time anyway, right? So it's not like that. Yeah, it's not like that matters to me. I get those type of things all the time, but about, making comments that it's humidity that does it and all this other stuff. And I'm like, whatever. I mean, look, we're talking the way these things, they get tested in amps and they're in a certain controlled condition. Yes, ambient heat and temperatures can affect it because it's affecting the bimetal or, the component in some cases. So anyway, the point was we were talking about that, and this guy chimes in and says, I'll accept that challenge. And I didn't, you don't even know what the hell he's talking about because I didn't make a challenge. But at the end of the day, he says, as a testifying expert with over 20 years of litigation experience, an electrical contractor with over 30 years, in the trade, and a licensed professional engineer in more than 25 states, I have successfully challenged and defeated all those major manufacturers on technical defect issues involving their own products. Well, hello. I'm the director of technical service for Prismium. And who now owns Encore Wire Corporation. Hey, fella, we've never heard of you. Okay? You never faced any of us in court. Just so you know. So when you say manufacturers, just so you know, I identify that you're full of shit. Just so we understand that. No, it says so yes, I'd be happy to compare credentials, methodology, and actual results, not just chest thumping. So the irony of it is, if you look at his profile, you look at it, he calls himself the electrical expert, right? And his account is private. He has 176 followers, and he follows 361. The reality of that is, the reality of that is, first of all, nobody knows who you are. Secondly, nobody cares about your years of experience. Okay. So credentials. I'm an NEC guy. I have always stated I'm an NEC guy. I have never stated that I want to get into vast engineering, zero sequence networks, transient and subtransient reactants, total demand distortion, triplet harmonics, negative sequence heating, skin effect, proximity. But this is where he went to in his follow-up post. And this is typical because I've been doing this for a long time. This is typical of somebody that's full of shit. Is that they went, obviously, this clearly, he went to ChatGTP and started typing stuff in. So I'm used to this anyway because this happens all the time. But let's be real. I would not talk to a practicing engineer about any of that type of stuff because that is not the stuff I talk about. I'm an NEC guy. And you know what? You may be smarter than me if that's the way you want to categorize it because you seem to be an expert in all these things that you state. But at the end of the day, I know that you know that you know that I know that you're full of shit. Now, the reality is, these are easy Google points. The fact of the matter is the discussion is about the overcurrent protective device, ampacity, and heat. And serving as the expert to NEMA, who represents over 400 manufacturers, and having intimate conversations with the manufacturers, understanding conductors, conductor ampacity, and how it works, as well as serving on the National Electrical Code and surrounding myself with very knowledgeable people for nearly 40 years, I know that you know that I know that you're full of shit. And so I put the challenge out there. And now I'm not going to have any kind of debate on these things that you want to talk about, regardless of whether or not it's true, because none of this stuff is relevant to the discussion. I'm an NEC guy. I talk to the NEC. Now, if you want to have a discussion on understanding the application, interpretation of the National Electrical Code for everyday, then I'm your guy. I'm your Huckleberry, right? I will. Let's go. But if you think that I want to sit down and have a discussion about XR ratio effects on asymmetrical fault current, you're out of your freaking mind. Why would I even do that? Dude, if you're an expert in all that, you're way smarter than me, but I'm going to tell you this much. If I had $1 for every time I had to correct an electrical engineer when they don't understand the application and installation of the National Electrical Code, then I would not have to do a podcast like this, okay? I wouldn't have to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Plus, I also say, that's real impressive, but how many patents do you have? Have you ever invented anything? Have you ever served on the National Electrical Code? Have you ever developed code? Have you ever written code? No, you haven't. You just talk this stuff because you chat GTP'd it. It's very obvious that you did. But you know what? He says, so pick the topic carefully. I don't have to pick the topic. I talk the National Electrical Code. If you want to debate the National Electrical Code, again, I'm your Huckleberry. I'm ready. Let's go. Because that's where I spend my career. That's what I've done. I made a choice early on in my career not to get into engineering design. Having an engineering degree and being a professional engineer are two different things. I do not choose to practice it. I do not choose to go out there and try to design buildings under it. Never had a need, never claimed to have a need. Find me a example of a podcast or a video where I made any statement like that, because I wouldn't. That's not my realm. That's not what I do. I'm an NEC guy, National Electrical Code guy. I'm an educator. I teach people the National Electrical Code. I don't teach people thermal runaway, finite element thermal modeling. I don't teach metallurgical beating analysis and whether the physical evidence actually supports the theory. When I've served as an expert witness, first of all, I don't have to worry about trial because all of the cases that I've been involved with end up settling before they go to trial. Why? Because the National Electrical Code is a minimum safety standard. And when I take a case, it has to do with whether or not, and I analyze whether or not it's dealing with the National Electrical Code. If it's dealing with something that's outside of a realm that I want to get into, then I just don't do it. It's not what I do. You know what I'm saying? I don't dabble in things. And I tell electricians all the time, there are certain areas of work that if you're not an expert in, just walk away. You don't need to do it. So I wouldn't even have a conversation in any of those things. Why would I? I mean, why would I do such a thing? I mean, it's just stupid. And that's why I can tell when somebody posts that kind of stuff. And then at the end to act intelligent, but then go, Paul. Or they call me an old man at 57. Anyway, it's very, and he says we won't be limiting it to little old electrician topics either. No, that's not it. You said I could pick any topic I want. I'm sorry. It's only because I've dealt with this for 40 years and I've dealt with these guys, these people like that who are keyboard warriors. Because my first response to him was, okay, my number's easy to find. My website's easy to find. You can find me real easy, electricalcodeacademy.com. fasttracksystem.com. My numbers are all over it. Call me up. We can be professional about it. I'll set up a live stream. We'll set it up. We'll pick the topic. I think it'd be interesting. Let's do it. I don't shy away from anybody, but you're not going to bait me into talking about topics that I don't work in every day and don't claim to be an expert in. I know my role, my understanding of the National Electrical Code and manufacturer product testing, whether it's the ASTMs or UL and the testing procedures, that's my line. That's where I stick. I don't go into getting into those things with the engineering practices that I leave for a professional engineer. I don't. No different than I would not sit here and debate or go into a disagreement with Mark Odie, who's not an engineer, but I know that he's extremely knowledgeable, for example, in dealing with hazardous classified locations. I mean, he's an expert on it. I'm not stupid, right? The discussion at hand is about the heat in a breaker in actuation and how it relations to amps and current flow. It has absolutely nothing to do with any of that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? But that's great. So he says that I am the chest pounder or chest thumper when clearly this guy on a private account on TikTok is chest thumping because he felt the need to respond. That's chest thumping, by the way, if you need a definition of it. There you go. So anyway, I responded back saying, let's go. The topic will obviously be about the National Electrical Code. And we'll see what you know. Okay? And then, of course, he comes back with all due respect, I'll demolish you in the technical arena you choose. Okay, well, I choose the National Electrical Code. That's what I've always said. The debate is, let's debate the NEC. And, yeah. So, call me old man all you want, but that old man has experience in the National Electrical Code. And that's where I would talk. But you think I'd get into a discussion with you about positive, negative, zero sequence networks? Although I do work in wire and cable, and we have to understand various parts of that. But you think I'd get into any of the other one? Are you smarter than me? Absolutely. You are a genius, my friend. In fact, you may be the distant cousin to Nikola Tesla. But I ain't stupid enough to have a conversation about the stuff that I don't work in every day. Are you an idiot? So there's an example of common sense, right? And this individual, Thomas, actually must have zero common sense. Okay. Maybe a lot of technical sense, but zero. Anyway, you can follow this over on TikTok if you're interested. I don't know how you would get to it. Just look for whatever. I guess you can go to my profile and see where I've responded back to him. But I wouldn't do anything unless it was a live debate. I mean, I want to have it live. I mean, I want it out there. But if I get to pick the topic, Thomas, it's going to be on the National Electrical Code, because I know one thing in your responses here. You never said one thing about the NEC, and that is what I've always said about electrical engineers, is that they're very good at design, they're very good at these things, but they know zero about the NEC, or very little, or understand its origin, or understand how to interpret it properly to correlate it with application. This is where I'd eat you up. every day of the week in a court. Every day of the week, I would eat you alive, eat you for lunch, because you don't understand how the NEC works. You understand plasma column behavior in Joule heating in thermal runaway, or again, traveling wave reflection. You are the man. Clearly, based on what you chat GP'd, you obviously clearly understand that, but nowhere in here did you explain that you understand the National Electrical Code at all. And if you understand the National Electrical Code, then you understand the rules of continuous loads, ampacity, and how it correlates with heat, and how an overcurrent protected device functions. And if you can't understand that, then all of this other crap that you post mean nothing. So his name is Thomas. Geez, I don't even know. If you want to follow him or go look at him, it's at @the_electrical_expert. So I don't know who's chest pounding there, but it's a private account. So that's shocking, right? You won't put yourself out there. You just got a private little account, I guess. But that's all good. I'm just saying, Thomas, I'm here. If you're ready, let's do it. I'm just saying. So anyway, what else do we got going on? That's pretty funny though. But you can follow that I don't block that, you know. If I ever block him is if he gets stupid, then I'll block it. Because then that tells me just nothing but a damn troll. So the other thing about it is you can talk shit about your credentials, because he's talking about old man, but yet he says he's okay. Listen to this. He's testified experience with over 20 years. Okay, so that means that he would have to be at least 18 when he got out of school. Okay, listen to these things, folks. 18, then he went to college, like me, when I went. So he would have been probably engineering degrees with a little extra. Seems like he's extremely knowledgeable. So he would have gotten out, let's say, 24, and then put 20 years in it. Then he would be 44. But then he goes on to say he's been an electrical contractor for over 30 years. So when did you work that in? So if you added that after 24 and you put 30, that would make you 54 years old. Yeah, start doing the math here on Thomas, and you calling me the old man? I'm 57 years old. Damn, based on your math, you got to be in your mid-50s. So yeah, Thomas, I can smell bullshit a mile away, and maybe that's the old private investigator in me. But yeah, Thomas, I can smell it a mile away, brother. Because you got that fuzzy math going on, bro. Fuzzy math. And yet I'm the old man. He says, with all due respect, old man. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, enough of that. Hey, so the next thing I want to tell you that coming up in July, right here around the corner, I want y'all folks to check out ECNM magazine. We have my first article coming out for those folks. And it's basically an introduction into what we're going to be talking about. It's the inspector relationship with the electrical contractors, and how that can be, contentious type of relationship that can be, not so much, can make it a lot nicer, a little easier to deal with. So we're going to be talking about that. And again, I will tell you that if you do submit topics that you want me to talk about that have to do with the inspector and electrician relationship, maybe some experience that you've run into, I can write that into article. I'm writing 6 articles. It's every other month. So for the next year, that's 6 articles. But I'm also going to be answering questions and videos for them as well. So I do take questions. So if you want to send it to the Let's Ask Paul, which you can get to through our website, just go to fasttracksystem.com and you can see in the navigation, under the info tab, you'll see the Let's Ask Paul. Just ask me a question. And if you want me to, address it in a video, guess what? It has an even bigger platform, because now it'll be broadcast out on ECNM magazines newsletters and things like that. So you can really, a lot of people can learn from your questions. So I think that'd be great. So yeah, at the end of the day, hey, what can you can't beat that, right? Get your questions answered for you. But I do want to give a shout out here at the end to Mike Holt. Mike is a great guy. I've had a great relationship with Mike for many, many years. People think we don't get along and we, spar back and forth, but no, it's not the case. Mike is an amazing guy. All of his team are amazing. Brian and Mario, all of them down there, and all the people that work there are amazing. They put out great stuff. Okay, best illustrations in the industry, bar none. Still today, and they do great stuff. But I would not be writing for ECNM magazine if it wasn't for Mike Holt. And I appreciate Mike recommending me. And also he recommended Ryan Jackson, and Ryan Jackson's an amazing dude as well. And so, it's a funny story is Ryan's probably one of the only guys that somebody would say you want to get into an NEC debate with, and I'd be like, I better buckle up here because Ryan knows his stuff. There's no doubt about that. Okay, and obviously Mike too. So at the end of the day, it's a true honor to be able to write for ECNM. By the way, Mike's not going anywhere. So you folks that wonder, is Mike retiring? Absolutely not. The dude has energy like crazy. And he's amazing for our industry. And Mike's just shifting over, and he's going to be writing for Electrical Contractor Magazine, EC Magazine, which is a great fit for Mike. Because it deals more with the contractor. Now, my job is to get more people over to ECNM for the same type of topic, but definitely a great addition to Electrical Contractor Magazine. That's a great addition for them to be able to do it. And they align pretty close with NECA. And I mean, that's a great opportunity. And Mike does great stuff, and his team does great stuff. So that's going to be amazing. My hope is to bring a little bit of a different flavor over to ECNM. I'm focusing on this one, dealing with the inspector relationship, but Ryan's going to be doing most of the code stuff. I'm going to be doing code stuff as well in videos and podcasts, but at the end of the day, we can't fill Mike's shoes. Mike did a lot of things, and he did it very well. I mean, amazingly well. So what we're going to try to do is, again, help by offering where we can offer expertise to give assistance. That's it. That's what we're going to be doing. And I'm picking up that element of it in talking code and stuff like that. But so is Ryan. So it's going to be great. And you couldn't have anybody better than Ryan Jackson. It's absolutely top notch, 100%. Top notch, top tier when it comes to the NEC. No doubt. All right, folks. So I will leave you with this. We have a bunch more podcasts that are going to be releasing. I'm going to get into some of the 2026 changes. We're going to be talking about that. They're going to be coming up because, again, I do more podcasting than I do video. I'm not a big fan of video. I do enough video, but I'm not the biggest fan. I am a podcaster, and I'll always be a podcaster. But video is necessary when it's necessary. I get it. So anyway, thank you all for listening, following along, and hopefully you got something, learned a little bit more today out of something that's going on here. And Thomas, okay, you want to talk the NEC? I got you. You want to talk all that other bullshit and make up stuff? Then, hey, I can't really help you there, bro. So till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless, and we'll catch you on another episode of Master the NEC podcast.
Thanks for tuning into another electrifying episode of the Master the NEC podcast. We hope you're feeling more powered up and ready to tackle the electrical world with the knowledge and confidence you need to succeed. Remember, in the electrical trade, knowledge is power, and we're here to make sure you stay plugged into the latest insights, tips, and code updates. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with your fellow electricians and industry pros. Until next time, keep your tools sharp, your circuits clear, and your mind focused, because here at the Master the NEC podcast, we're all about sparking your success. Stay safe, stay smart, and keep mastering the trade. From all of us here at Electrical Code Academy, thank you for all your support, and we will see you on the next amazing Master the NEC podcast episode.